Well, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I am your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and we have an incredible show prepared for you today, folks. We are going to be going to my favorite place that is not real. It's called Speculation Town, and there has been a fervor, a fire, a thunder, if you will, in the last 12 hours of not when Microsoft was going to purchase someone, but who they were going to purchase. And quite frankly, it seems as if the entire industry is on tap to be purchased by Microsoft. And folks, the second half of the show is probably going to be the most fun if you love speculation. Again, folks, right now, the heavy rumor is that a specific deal or deals were signed yesterday. And we are going to get into when we should expect these announcements. Should there be something? How impactful are they going to be? Of course, the running rumor has been that it is going to be Bethesda level worthy, and obviously we know, and we were just talking in the green room, Kay Asante, who's joining us, as well as our special guest Noof Nukem. We're talking about how they are no longer in the let's buy a studio. They're into let's buy a publisher, and obviously that has to do with money. But let's get into the introductions, and then of course we will get into some of the smaller topics. And then we're going to finish off today's second half with, of course, the big topic of the industry, and that is who Microsoft is adding to Xbox Game Studios. And we're going to start first with Noof Nukem. Noof, first of all, brother, thank you so much for joining us. I got to tell you, the work that you're doing, not only on your Tuesday evening show, but your Sunday morning show has been great. And hopefully you see some tremendous success. How the heck have you been?
Yeah, it's been a minute, man, but I am doing good, Boom. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be here on Breakfast with Boom with your esteemed panel, and again, this fantastic chat. We got a lot of stuff to get into. I won't ramble any longer. I am good. I appreciate the love and support for my my only two podcasts. They are doing pretty well, but yeah, it's been a fun time. So let's get right into it.
Well, I mean, listen, we do have Arnold making an appearance later on. Right now we're flying him in again. You know, I'm writing these 50-cent checks. It is killing me, but we will get Arnold in here momentarily. But Kay Asante, you are joining us. You are on spare time. You might be able to be here for the whole show, or might have to step out. But we appreciate you taking the time. And once again, hats off to what you and Everborn Saga are doing, not only on the Real, which is a fantastic pulp culture type of podcast, but it's the Gaming Circle podcast on Saturday that I've actually I have bombarded you with multiple appearances, and I'm trying to see if I can get on there this weekend just for a little bit while Mrs. Boom does some work. We always
love having
home.
You, man.
Yeah, it's great show, great atmosphere, great community. How are you, man? What you been up to?
I'm doing good. I will preface this by saying I may be a little under the weather, so the voice might crack, just so everybody knows. But no, I'm good. I'm doing real good. Speculation Town's got us losing sleep over here, so we're excited to talk about what could potentially be going on. My only thing is, come on, man, Monday. Come on, I'm gonna have to deal with this all weekend. Well, I'm here for it. Great panel. I'm here. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you, and yeah, it is going to. You know what it feels like, folks. For me, anyway, and I think a lot of people might be able to equate this to what I'm saying. Kind of feels like Christmas, like you know what's coming, and you're just dying in anticipation to know what's under the tree in that big box that has your name on it. Is it going to be the G.I. Joe hovercraft? Is it going to be the Super Nintendo? I don't know. Is it going to be Sega? We don't know. We'll find out, but we have to wait apparently until Monday unless something breaks. And folks, listen, listen, when I do these shows, like I was up past midnight and I have 6 thumbnails excellently produced, ready to go with a numerous amount of studios that they could acquire, because you can understand that Double Barrel Gaming is going to have you covered, and we are going to be one of the first live podcasts after said announcement. Expect that Gotta shout out this community. I was struggling for a bit with subscribers. I honestly didn't know why. Maybe it was the summer. My wife and I, she says, you tell me this, Mrs. Boom. She's like, you say this every summer. Yes, your numbers are down. You got to just relax. People are going to come back. And I have had almost 50 new subscribers in the last couple of days, which is pretty freaking awesome. And I'm expecting that we're going to get some new people to run through today. If you are new, I would ask that you consider subscribing to the channel. It is a lot of fun content, and you get 4 live shows, at least 8+ hours per week of content. You get 2 Xbox Factor podcasts. You get Breakfast with Boom, which are here today. And, of course, Primetime Gaming is going to be lit, which is our late show, 7 p.m. every Monday. But Crispy Bomb, we got to welcome you in, the best voice in the business, the guy that carries a chainsaw in his back pocket. And I don't know how he does it. How the heck are you?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Yeah, the chainsaw. Let's go. We got chainsaws coming out today, people. Like, there's going to be all kinds of speculation. I think Arnie might get in on this speculation at some point. I mean, let's do it. Come on, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready as well. And first of all, gotta thank Killantis has rejoined. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. Of course, thank you, Kay Asante, for helping me out because I'm watching 3 screens to make sure that everything is running well. Dotvikin,
I got your back.
Oh, I definitely appreciate that. Dotvikin drops a $2 super chat and says the cookie. Now, this is interesting. The Cookie Monster tweet from Tom Warren. If you don't know who Tom Warren is, he is a prolific journalist. He has me blocked for some reason. I honestly don't want. I don't know why. I've never I have never interacted with him.
His block hand isn't usually that strong. I don't know
why that would be. I mean, listen, I'm not offended. He might. You know what? Listen. No offense to Crossfire, but I was on that show for 2 years, and that show does kind of rub people the wrong way. So maybe I was blocked for an association kind of a thing.
Guilty
but it's
by association.
It's fine. Listen, I love the work that he does. Maybe he'll eventually unblock me, whatever. But yeah, he did. He put out a tweet that that Dotvikin is talking about regarding Cookie Monster. And what does Cookie Monster do? Well, he eats everything that's a cookie. Kind of implying that Microsoft is quite frankly the Cookie Monster of gaming because they're eating every publisher they can. You know something? They're good for it. And listen, let me continue with super chats. He drops a second $2 super chat and says, "Morning, everyone." And then we have another one from Aaron JF94. Thank you, Aaron, for being here. He dropped a $5 super chat and says, "My sister's husband is in the late stage of liver and kidney failure." Man, our condolences to you and your family. That is that's tough. That is a hard thing to deal with. Family loss is awful. I'm hoping that by you hanging out with us today, Aaron, that we can kind of lift you up a little bit. But of course, we wish you and your family only the best. So thank you for being here. But listen, folks, we got to get right into it. And the best way we get into it is the show notes. Now we're going to open up with some of the smaller stuff. And one of the stories that I want to go to is, again, it's a smaller story. But anyone remember the name David Hayter? Hayter? Well, he is best known for being the Snake, being the voice of Solid Snake from the Metal Gear series. And obviously his work in gaming is cemented as some of the best voice acting in the business. There's no question about it. But he has opened up some, the eyes of many people in this community that he threw it out there that he wants to voice Wolverine in Insomniac's upcoming game. And considering how well he has done with Solid Snake over the years, I honestly think it's a great fit. As a matter of fact, his tweet went out with him. He kind of looked like Logan. He had a little beard thing going on. He has hair. I mean, obviously, that is all set up for, presentation. But I think that he would be an incredible voice. Now, I originally thought if they wanted to make that punch in the gut, conversation piece, you go out and you get Jackman, right? Hugh Jackman best known for Wolverine. You get him to come in and voice it. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if they get Jackman. I know that he has expressed that he would love to come back to the role. He just doesn't like the working out, because obviously the amount of working out that he did to get that kind of a body was just madness. It was like 8 hours a day. And listen, as great as he looked, there comes a point where you're just like, I don't want to pick up weights anymore. I kind of just want to eat a hamburger and chill. Right. So I mean,
man needs a sandwich.
He just needs a sandwich. And you know something? He worked out with The Rock, if you didn't know. And I think his diet was 6,700 calories per day, which is madness. That's almost double what you're supposed to have, triple in some cases. So you know what? I'll start first with our guests, and I'll start first with Kay Asante. Listen, I think this is a great fit. He threw it out there. I would not be surprised to see him take on the role of Logan in Wolverine. Now, obviously, Wolverine is many, many years out. I would even dare say that it's probably 4 or 5 years out. If you're
Probably,
a Sony fan, and I think a lot of us are, what we also have to know is Sony sells hope, they sell dreams, but they also sell you, hey, this game is here today in this preview video, and we'll see you in 2026. And that's probably around the time. I'm thinking 2025, giving them 4 years to do it. With COVID, it could add an additional year. I don't know. But would you like to see David Hayter return to gaming as Logan?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think as his story was his storied history, he was a bit shafted on the latest Metal Gear. He didn't get the role he wanted. Instead, it went to, I forget the name of the actor, not the voice actor, but the actor. I forget his name. Popular actor that everybody knows. But anyway, David Hayter was famously skipped that role and was given to a voice actor. So, and he's done such great work in the past with that role, and he's basically become part of the gaming community. So,
100%.
I think he deserves it. Yeah, I think he would deserve another bite at a different character, somebody he could make it his own. I will say though, I'm rather partial to Cal Todd. I don't know if most people remember who that is. He is the voice of the original Wolverine from the cartoons in the 90s. He's
oh my
available.
God, yes.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He's still available, And I think he also played he played Piccolo on Dragon Ball Z. He's done a bunch of different voice acting roles, but he's one of those voices that when you hear it, you go, oh yeah, I know that guy, and he's played Wolverine on many a show. So, I think this is a good conversation to have. I kind of think it's a little weird that he's putting the feels out in public like this. It's almost like he may not have that connect, so he's trying to put it out into the universe. I would think David Hayter's pedigree is high enough to where he could have Insomniac's number. Do you disagree?
I think you're onto something, but maybe he hasn't done anything in a while. Obviously people, things change.
Trying to galvanize the community, you think?
Yeah, you know what? I will say this. One of the things that I enjoy seeing is when someone of a prolific, acting chops like him goes and takes the community route of trying to get the community involved and maybe potentially, because how many things have we seen that were fan casted, right? In Marvel specifically, how many fan castings have we seen that happened? Because the fan base was like, we want said person to be said character. We've seen that happen more times than not. So this is, and it's worked. It's worked well.
Isn't it rumored that even Henry Cavill's role in The Witcher was because he loved the game so much and basically put it into the universe? He wanted to be The Witcher, and boom.
That is true.
Actually, I think IGN spurred that. Oh, we hear you play it a lot. Would you like to be, and at 1 + 1 = 2, and before long, here we are. So I think that's a great idea. I think it's
Batista ended up in Gears one way or another.
Exactly, that's the other one.
He didn't get the movie role, but he ended up in Gears in one sense of the word.
Yeah. That man is passionate about that role. I'm excited for him. One day Batista will play in Gears. He's all about it. Every time you hear him talking about it, it's like he wants that role so badly. I've actually gone through the whole thing of Gears 5 playing as him since
I want to do that,
update.
dude. That's pretty
It's really
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, Noof, let's get your opinion on this. Obviously, Metal Gear Solid, for a lot of people, for me personally, Metal Gear Solid 1 on a PlayStation, top 5 of my entire gaming life. and that's saying something. That game resonates with me specifically emotionally because of what it means for me and my brother, Neo Mental. Like I told this story many times. If you're from the New York area, there was a comic place that sold video games called Dragon's Den. It was in Cross County. And the guy, Gary, that used to run it, he was a shrewd MF when it came to business. But, you're a business owner, so that's what you got to do. And he used to get invited. I don't know how he got it. He had connections. He used to go to E3 every year. And that was before it was a fan event. And I think obviously he used his store as the front to get in there. And what he would do back in the days, because I'm old, is that he would get the big old camcorder and he would record the video and he would sell the VHS tapes. I don't even know. There's young people that didn't even know what the hell I'm talking about. He would sell the tapes for like $30. And me and my brother, when, obviously we were growing up as teenagers, we didn't have a lot of money. We would put our money together and we bought the E3 tape that showed a Metal Gear Solid running on the PlayStation. And I remember it so vividly. It was Merrill and Snake back to back, and they were firing, and they were showing the bullets hit the ground. It was life changing, folks. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. Mm-hmm. And we played it so much that we actually wore out the tape, which is bananas. That's how many times we watched it. And obviously he played some of Snake, or Solid Snake, is one of the most revered characters in gaming. I would dare say that Solid Snake is as important as someone like Sonic or Kratos or Master Chief or even Mario. He holds that when you see him, you're like, okay, I know what you're talking about. Would you like to see David Hayter come back in a big way and be Wolverine?
Well, if he's interested in the role, then absolutely. Then why not? I mean, you add some clout, you get instant character, instant again celeb status for an iconic Marvel character, but then you also get a very, like I said, a highly revered and iconic voice for video gaming.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool. Like I said, automatically, it just, again, it just drums up excitement, stuff like that. And a lot of these guys who are passionate about it, it's not about the money for them. I mean, a paycheck's nice, but a lot of the times they might work for less than perhaps they could even get just to be associated and part of a project that they're passionate about and really love. As Kay Asante mentioned, we see this more and more now in the media where we're getting celebrities reaching out to be a part of their favorite roles, like Henry Cavill for The Witcher and stuff like that. So I think that's really, really cool. The only downside sometimes with some of these actors, like having Hugh Jackman would be, I mean, it almost makes sense, but
it 100% does. Plus, it would sell a lot more games.
Yeah, it would, like Hugh Jackman voicing the character. But sometimes the only downside, and it's a very small one because it's only that select group of fans, and it happens in every industry, whether it's movies, music, gaming. Anytime you switch a character or you have them voiced by somebody that has that notoriety, what happens a lot of times is you sort of build up, either you love the character more, or then basically it becomes a typecast thing where the person who did the role before, you're always constantly comparing, well, that voice isn't as cool, or that actor can't play that role, or this, that, and something else. And you see that sometimes even when bands, when they change out their lead singer and they bring someone else, and well, that band will never be the same because that lead singer is different, and movies do it. When you change a movie actor, then what Spider-Man has been done many times, and every time you see a Spider-Man debate, it's always, is Toby better? Is Garfield better? Is Holland better? Everybody's has always got to kind of follow in those footsteps. And if Jackman does Wolverine, of course, people will sort of they'll immediately associate him with the movie version of Wolverine that he played, as opposed to in the comics. I mean, that's the beauty sometimes of the comics, is when you're reading a comic, that voice can be however you deem it to be in your head, essentially, right? It can be grim, it can be gruff, that sort of thing. So, but just to kind of stay back on track, David Hayter would would be huge. He could definitely pull it off. He's got that bit of that tone, that gravel, and he definitely sounds like he would make a great Wolverine. So I think it'd be really cool, and fans would definitely dig it. And it doesn't sound like Solid Snake is coming back, at least anytime soon that we know of. So
it's funny you say that, because that makes a lot of sense that he's out there looking for work, right? I mean, obviously we've been talking about the potential. We've kept hearing that Blue Point Games is, again, how many times we've heard this? They're doing Metal Gear, they're doing Silent Hill, they're doing a bunch of other stuff. I have said it. I don't care where Metal Gear Solid Remake goes. I don't care if it's Sony exclusive. I don't care if it's PC exclusive. Just release it so I could find a way to play it, because I absolutely love that series. And
release the hounds.
Yes, yeah, it would be fantastic to get that out there. Speaking of voices, the best voice in podcasting, Crispy Bomb. Hearing that David Hayter wants to come back, he's putting it out to the universe, and we've seen this work. We've also seen it backfire. Like I said, I didn't even consider it because I love his voice. I think he's a great actor. I thought, if you're gonna do, if Insomniac wants this to hit, and it's gonna hit, it's Wolverine, right? I think he's as prominent as a Spider-Man, potentially for some people even more. So you get Jackman to reprise his role, and you got a selling point for sure. But with that said, Hayter putting it out there that he wants to do it, that kind of says something. Where do you fall on him? Coming back to gaming in a big way.
I mean, if somebody wants to reprise the role, then I say do it. They're going to take more care of it, in my opinion. They're going to take it even more seriously. Like, you got to look at Jackman and be like, okay, it makes total sense, but how much is he invested in Wolverine anymore? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
with all these years of playing all these different movies, these spin-offs, some of them were pretty darn good. Some of them were absolutely unbearably horrible, in my opinion. To go that route and possibly pay this guy like, a quarter of the budget for the game itself.
I was going to ask that question. How much are we going to pay him? Wouldn't it be the price of Insomniac themselves?
Well, think about it. Like, if he really truly loves Wolverine, he'll do it.
He'll
come back and he'll do it at whatever, it takes, really. Like, he's not going to do it for free, but I think if he really loves that role, which, we question at times, because it's like, you really don't want to reprise it anymore, even though now you're in new hands with Disney. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of already said, I don't want to be really, part of that. At the same time, you don't got to work out to be a voice actor. You know what I mean? So it could be something that happens. But, me personally, if there's no interest from him, then don't have him do it. Give it to somebody like Hayter, somebody that's a veteran voice actor that really, is going to take care of it and take this very seriously and want it to be the best it possibly can be. And obviously they're not going to break the budget with somebody like him. He's already within the gaming route of acting. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. Like, I would rather have somebody that really wants it to do it.
Yeah, and something, I agree. Take nothing away from Jackman. He was an incredible Wolverine. He did it for practically almost 20 years. There's some people in the chat that say that he doesn't have a great Wolverine voice, and he has a great Wolverine body. He has a great Wolverine persona. Maybe he doesn't have the voice. David Hayter would. He would figure out a way. There are certain voice actors in the gaming space that we know and love that just deliver on every role that they do. And I think David Hayter would be fan-freaking-tastic. But listen, again, I love that he's putting it out there. I love the fact that he is so passionate about wanting to do the role, that he is throwing it out to the universe. And again, we've seen fan casting work. That is something that has worked before. It could potentially work again. And who knows what we're going to get out of it. Insomniac's Wolverine is years away. So they have plenty of time to figure out what they're going to do. I don't even think, I think the game, if anything, is in very early stages of pre-production. They are working their rears off for Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2, obviously, is going to be a big game for PlayStation. and Wolverine is going to be potentially even bigger. But we will wait to see who does the voice of Wolverine. I hope it is him, just because that he wants to play it. I'd love to see it happen. But folks, I want to move on to the next topic. But before I get over there, I gotta thank a couple super chats that have come in. And first one comes to us from, let me see, where are you? A good friend of the show, Z Black Rider. What's up, dude? He drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "Crispy, where are my steaks? You know I'm banned from crossing the border." I guess that's an inside joke because I don't get it. Crispy, what do you owe this man steaks? This is what I want to know.
Everybody, you know, I put a couple pictures out. Everybody wants a steak. You know, it's like go to your local grocery store, go buy a steak. If you want, tips, you want some tips, hit me up, DM me, and I have done it. You could ask Fork Boy. I've given him some tips, so you know I know how to cook a steak. A butcher better know how, right? You know,
I would imagine so. Yes. For sure. Well, listen, thanks so much for the super chat, brother, and thank you for being here every time I do one of these live shows. Definitely appreciate that. Spider-Man drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, multiple devs delay games like Battlefield 2042 is great. More time to polish. 343 rumored to delay Halo Infinite. The game is doomed. It's trashed logic. No, I agree. I see what you're doing. What you're talking about. Yeah, it's not being delayed. It's going to be out December 8th. That's a done deal. Look, the thing is this industry, folks, you can say what you want. I don't care what console you love the best. Microsoft, for some reason, is under a different microscope than Nintendo and Sony. That's a fact. That's in the gaming media. That's in social media. That's in a lot of the circles that we run in. They are not held to the same forgiveness that other developers and publishers are. It's just the way it is. I don't know why that is. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea, but it is definitely not a two-way street. It's more of a one-way street when you're talking Microsoft, and that's not being a fanboy. That's just look at when something happens from Microsoft, it is always blown out of proportion. But if it's Sony, it's like, yeah, it's okay. It's Sony. They gave us bangers, so it's acceptable. Whatever. We're not going to go down that road, but thank you for the super chat, brother, and you are correct in saying so. Davikin drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, interesting detail. That Cookie Monster pick is subtracted from a WB video with Tim Schafer from 2011. That's pretty interesting. You know, these deals take years. There's a reason why we haven't heard anything about it recently, and that's because it's a lot of licensing things. The WB thing could actually be something, and you know something. I don't want to get too much into it because we're really gonna dive deep into the second half of the show. But if it is WB, what that does for me is it completely closes the door on they need their own superhero game, and they know it. And now they have Batman and whoever else they're going to add, because if you, again, I'm going to save it. I have a lot to talk about. I have a lot of back end information, but let me continue with super chats. Drawn TJ drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, another good show, Boom, and awesome panel. Well, thank you, Drawn TJ. Definitely appreciate the compliment and, of course, the support, which, of course, Drawn TJ is going to be guesting with us, Kay Asante, this Monday evening on Primetime Gaming. Can't wait to get his take on some of the big topics. And
I look forward to it.
And potentially biggest topic, which could be an acquisition, which is rumored to come Monday. But again, we will get into that in the second half of the show. Raiden Blade drops an outstanding £2 super chat and says, LOL, MGS is Xbox exclusive. Yeah, that would be pretty... that would be as horrific as, in my opinion, as the Knights of the Old Republic situation, which still is a bit of a stinger for me. I'm going to buy it on PlayStation because you know they're going to lock it up for 2 years, and I am not waiting 2 years to play Knights of the Old Republic. Hopefully Aspire does the game justice, but again, that remains to be seen. Raiden Blade drops an additional $2 super chat. He says, just arrived listening from work. Well, thanks for being here, brother. Thank you for the generosity. And he drops another one that says they remodeled Wolverine off of Jackman. It looks a lot like Jackman to some extent. Gabe drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, at Boom, are the PlayStation 5s from the GameStop drop from earlier this week old PS5s or new? That's an interesting thing. I honestly don't even know.
Yeah, I would suspect they're still the old, because those
Yes.
ones have not really like gotten to the States yet. Those who have it have had to have it imported. So it's probably the OG ones still.
Yeah, I believe it was the EU and Australia, if I'm not mistaken, which got the new PS5s. I'm going to be honest with you.
Eventually we'll all get them.
We'll all get them, but I'm going to hold on to my old one personally. And Corbini Gaming, thanks for being here. Drops an outstanding $2 super chat. I'm excited for another great show. Boom, great work. Well, thank you for the compliment and thank you for supporting us. But let's get now this next topic. We're gonna keep Sony into the conversation. And we got a bunch of new information with God of War Ragnarok. And folks, I got news for you. It's a little surprising, and here's why. The next game, which is slated to be the part 2 to 2018's Game of the Year for many people, is going to be ending the Norse storyline, and this is shocking a lot of people, in the community and a lot of fans of the long-running series. The fact that the God of War Ragnarok is going to be the last game in this series concerning the Norse saga has surprised quite a bit people, including myself. Most people, like me, assume that this was going to be a trilogy at the very least. Now, the original God of Wars, with the Greek mythology, we saw not only God of War 1, 2, and 3, but we saw 2 side stories for the PSP, which I beat both of those. Those are absolutely fantastic. So it was a total of 5 games for the Greek mythology, and it was a lot of story to tell, a lot of Greek gods to kill, and he killed them all. And this one has surprised me a little bit that it's only going to be a 2-game story arc. I think it's a little short because we didn't really get a lot of the Norse mythology in the first one. We got some of it, sure, but we didn't get an abundance of it to kind of explain. Now, we know Thor is going to be a protagonist for Kratos and his son, and because obviously we saw the trailer. We just don't know who else is going to be a part of that. Well, this turns out, and again, I pulled a story from one of my favorite places to get news, and that is the Video Games Chronicles.com. And it turns out that this particular decision, folks, was made by Cory Barlog, who is obviously the creative director of God of War 2018. And he said a lot of interesting things in a recent interview with YouTuber Cap'n Cubba. When asked about why he decided that Ragnarok would be the final game in the Norse saga. Now, Eric Williams has already been announced to replace Barlog as the creative director on the upcoming sequel. Says the decision was actually made by his predecessor, which of course is Cory. Now, this is what Cory Barlog, friend of this program, and I say that jokingly. We've only gone back and forth on Twitter a couple of times. I'd love to have Cory on to interview him maybe one day. Here is what Cory had to say, and stand by, folks, because it's a little bit lengthy here. He says there are several reasons. I think one of the most important reasons is the first game took 5 years. The second game, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm just going to throw it out there. It's going to take close to similar time to do this. Now, let me pause this for a hot second. Okay? And I'm going to throw something out there, folks. If you think God of War is coming in 2022, just cross it off the list. It's not. It's going to be March 2023. He just said it to you in the interview. 5 years from 2018, I'm not a mathematician by any stretch of the truth, is 2023. So expect that game, and I think we've all expected it. Remember, there was the Sony said God of War this year. Unbelievable that they would do that. We knew that was Sony likes to lie, and Jim Ryan is who Jim Ryan is. That game is not coming out to 2023, and here is the evidence to prove that. We will back end that conversation, but let me continue with what he had to say. He continues, and then if you think, wow, a third one in the same amount of time, we're talking a span of close to 15 years of a single story, and I feel that that's just too stretched out. Like, I feel like we're asking too much to say the actual completion of that story taking that long just feels too long. Given where the team was at and where Eric Williams was at with what we wanted to do, I was like, look, I think we can actually do this in a second story, because most of what we're trying to do from the beginning was tell something about Kratos and Atreus. That the story's engine is is really the relationship between these two characters. And he continues, the complexity radiates out like ripples in a pond, and we could make it an ocean. And we can have those ripples just go thousands of miles, but is that really necessary? And is that beneficial? Are we feeling like we're just spreading it too far apart? The ripples get too far apart and you just sort of lose the plot a little bit. I'm going to go first to Crispy on this. Crispy, look, he's talking about a 15-year story arc for a trilogy. And as I have said numerous times, there's a reason why Sony games take 5 years to develop. There is the game being developed, and then there's a special studio that a lot of people don't know about that do the polishing after the game is done to give it the quote-unquote Sony look. And I'm very happy for it because I love their games. They're movie-like. It's what I dig. I like the first-person, story-driven, adult themes, single-player, selfish experience. And I think Keasante would agree on that. There's a certain look to it, and Sony takes years to master that. Are you surprised by anything he had to say regarding them trying to sew this up? Could potentially the game feel too short? And or do you agree that we don't see this game until 2023?
Well, I think he pretty much said it to you. You're going to get it in 2023. It's pretty sad that every time I feel like we talk about release dates with Sony, I'm watching the Maury Povich show, and that was the lie. And it's like, can you just not? I mean, 2-year difference between what they said and what is going to probably happen. That's a lie, dude. It's not even like a hiccup. That is a lie, bro. All right. So, and the worst part is I don't see nobody really talking about it. It's whatever. Oh, we're going to get a great game. Of course you are. But why are they using that as a crutch to sell PS5s when they know it's not going to come out for another 2 years after they said? It's bullcrap. And they're not making a third one probably because they don't want to spend the resources on it. Okay? We're talking 10 years down the road. They're probably not even, the PS5 is probably gone. You know what I mean? We're probably onto a next gen or a mid-gen refresh, and then there's new assets to deal with. So they're probably just using this and saying, okay, we know the PlayStation 5 is going to be at least out until 2025. We're going to make this game for this. We're going to wrap it up, which is unheard of. Usually any successful game is going to have a trilogy. You know what I mean? And especially going into a different mythology, it only makes sense. But as we like to say before, it's okay when Sony goes and says, oh, we're pushing this game 2 years after the date we originally said, and Microsoft might be a year, and they get all the flack. You know what I mean? And you're going to sit here and tell me, oh, they make great games, though. Well, who says that these games that Microsoft are making aren't going to be great? And this is why, we don't hear release dates a lot anymore, because they don't want to look like a liar at the end of the day. Even though they wholeheartedly thought that Halo was going to come out last year with the launch of the Series X. You know what I mean? So just stop. Let them do their work. They're developers. That's their choice. If it comes out in 2023, great. But at the same time, can we keep the same energy? Can we? Can we be like, you know what? If Halo did get a pushback again, can we keep that same energy? Oh, what? Because they actually put a solid date on there. Now it's acceptable. Did you see how many games have just moved their dates back? Have you seen it? No, but Microsoft does it. Oh, it's world ending. How dare they? It's just, come on. They're gonna make a great game. And the only question I have is, was there just not enough there, or are they to stretch it into 3 games? You know what I mean? There's something there that, he's saying what he's saying, but I feel like there's something, behind the scenes that we don't know.
I agree with you. You know, it's funny, and I want to bring Noof into the conversation. Noof, you know, for a lot of the circles that we roll in, now we do a lot of podcasting. We've heard a lot of people say this, so I don't think it's going to be a surprise, Noof. Some people thought that Sony was unaffected by COVID. It's Sony; they're not affected. All their games are coming out. It's great. Listen, they were just as affected, potentially more. Most of their games require mocap, and mocap is a big part of gaming design. And there's a lot of reason why they're doing these two. Listen, folks, if you think that they're just doing these 2-year deals to be, you know, to be the big man on campus, you are mistaken. Okay, Microsoft, as we know, has 20 plus first party games in active development through the 36 teams that they have, and potentially more. We know of 20 of them. We don't know what Sony is doing for a lot of reasons. That's because they're still trying to figure it out themselves. Now, yeah, sure. We got, you know, Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine confirmed. We have a few others, but past God of War and those two titles, there isn't a lot to know about what Sony is doing. So they're doing these 2-year deals so they can have games for their console to sell their box. And I absolutely agree with you. You know, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think that there really is a double standard when it comes to Microsoft. I really honestly believe that there is. But Noof, where do you fall on God of War potentially coming out in 2023? And more importantly, what are your thoughts on the fact that this trilogy, or originally, you know, we expected trilogy, is only going to be 2 games? Do you think that they're going to be able to tell the whole story?
Yeah, I think they do. I think there's a few different reasons why. I mean, first of all, let's just start with the release date stuff, right? And I think goes for Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, that any studio with a release date shouldn't put it out there till they're at least in the home stretch. And I mean, when they're at least about 6 months away, then you pop a release date, because that way, you know, you're at least at the point where you're at the finishing phases of the game. You know, there's a good potential it could come out, but there's also, yes, it could slip by a few months. And I think most fans, you know, we've gotten used to that in the industry, and we're okay with things slipping a little bit further down the road if it means a better product at the end of the day. I mean, nobody wants broken products. We've seen enough of those this gen, especially in the last 5 years. It's been it's almost been its own video game epidemic of sorts. It's gotten so bad, you know, it's almost becoming a running joke. So many games coming out broken, this, that, something else. So, you know, as far as the God of War content, well, it's no secret that Cory Barlog and that team had a lot of content already pretty much made toward the end for God of War 2018 that obviously didn't make it into its original release. And I think we're seeing some of that essentially with God of War, the next one, God of War Ragnarok, that which is part of the reason why the game looks and seems so familiar to many when we saw the footage from the showcase last week. You know, and then the funny thing is people harping on it. It's like, well, it's still an amazing game. It doesn't matter. An amazing game is an amazing game. I don't know what you expected God of War to look like. And you certainly, you know, because it is part of that same storyline, you don't want it to look and seem vastly different from the game before. If you go back to the PlayStation 2 era, I mean, God of War 1 and God of War 2 weren't vastly different, were they? They look very similar, of course, different scale, and you get to use different effects and different, you know, perks by having the extra time and being able to, you know, maximize the hardware potential. You know, I think we'll definitely see some fruits of the labor, you know, going to PS5, but largely, again, this will be a cross-platform game, where most of the assets and most of the development, I think, started with PS4 hardware or PS4-like hardware, and then just got, again, ported over more or less, that sort of thing. So, but I think it's going to be an amazing game. As far as the story ending, you know, like I said, we knew that the first game kind of left us on that cliffhanger. Sure, there probably is more story to tell from a Norse mythology standpoint, but with games taking 5, 6, and 7 years now to basically come to fruition, I think a lot of studios are leery about dragging things on too long, because what happens there, you know, because of the wait time, like I said, people can become friends of the franchise or disenchanted with the franchise sometimes when those waits are so long, and also, like, just to keep the content itself fresh. I mean, Kratos isn't going anywhere. He's going to get a little older, a little gruffer, maybe even more subdued, you know, in further games to come. But I think fans kind of welcome the change. I mean, just like going from the Greek mythology to Norse mythology, that was one of the biggest. That was kind of one of the biggest surprises for us all when we saw the latest God of War, back in when it was shown off, I think 2016 or whatever. And like, oh yeah, we're going to be in Greek. And you're like, what? Like he's going from the Greek mythology to Norse now. And you're cool with that. But after so many games, and it's kind of like, so maybe that's just a thing because it's going to take so long to come out. They figure like we better move the target. Maybe we'll find another spot for Kratos. He's worn out his welcome in this land, and he goes somewhere else. So I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, heck, I could play probably 10 games with Kratos in the Norse mythology, but as long as they keep making quality games. As far as it's slipping into 2023, well, I don't know. It has potential. I hope it comes out in 2022. But again, I personally, I'm not on the showroom floor. I don't know how far along they are in production, that sort of thing. So we do know that Sony is notorious for, like I said, keeping the hype going, building that hype, getting the fans excited about things that ultimately are a ways out. They're all a bit guilty of that at times, but that's one of the reasons, while Microsoft has recently shown us some games that are probably still quite a ways away, they haven't at least been teasing us with the release date, just that, hey, the game is coming, and we'll update you at a further time. So I'm really still excited about the next God of War. I think it's going to be an absolutely phenomenal game. And we'll see where it goes from there. I mean, like I said, if they move the story on or they keep going, it's okay with me one way or the other. But I do welcome a change. If they end it here after this one and they move on to something else, then that's cool. And like Crispy said, there's probably going to be, by the time the next God of War comes out after the one here in 2022, 23, we're probably going to be pretty well getting ready to promote new hardware by that time.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, you might be talking about PlayStation 6 or Pro or whatever they're gonna call it. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's interesting. Well, listen, first of all, Dreadpool, welcome to the program, there, brother. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling.
You're feeling well.
Yeah,
you're here, brother.
I'm
well,
here,
thank you so
though.
much for being here, brother. Definitely appreciate you joining us this morning. I don't know where you came in. Did you hear what we're talking about? Right now we're kind of discussing a God of War. We got some new information from Cory Barlog, obviously the original creative director of the 2018 Game of the Year title for the PlayStation 4. We're hearing that the next game, which of course is Ragnarok, which if you don't know anything about Norse mythology, is the end of that era for the gods. Obviously Valhalla is destroyed with Ragnarok, and we have confirmation from him that the game is not going to see a trilogy like the previous God of War, or even 5 games like the original God of War series, where it was Greek mythology. He's going to finish it off in 2. A lot of people, including myself, were taken a little back by that, considering how large the mythology really is. I mean, there are a lot of gods to get to. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but you know what? It's Sony, it's Cory. Obviously it's Santa Monica. They don't make a bad game, folks. So I know that whatever we're going to play in 2023, and I keep saying that. I know there's somebody in the chat that reached out and said, no. They said in the blog it's 2022. Yes, they in fact did say that, but they also said it was coming out this year as well. Jim Ryan and Sony did say, oh yeah, God of War this year, and we didn't get it. And we all kind of knew that wasn't going to happen. Where do you fall? And Keosante will get you in on the conversation on the back end of this. I saw you pop out, so I wasn't sure if you could talk. But Dreadpool,
sure.
Where do you fall on them finishing off the storyline in 2 games rather than 3?
Well, do you want fluff or do you want the good meat?
That's true.
So if you look at it, this Ragnarok was originally supposed to be expansion, right? It was going to be some DLC, and they said, you know what, we got a lot more story to tell, so we'll change it from DLC to a full-on game. Let's do that. And at the same time, if they told their story, and it seems to be more Cory's story than like the whole group story. So
right.
for
he
it
was
being
originally told, if you didn't know, folks, and I want to just kind of give the backdrop to what Dreadpool is saying. If you ever watched Raising Kratos, right, which is a great documentary regarding the struggles of God of War 2018. There was a lot behind the scenes that a lot of people maybe don't know. It wasn't all roses for that game development. And here's the thing: the DLC that Dreadpool's referring to, he pitched it. He pitched, hey, listen, we could do single player DLC. We can make some money on this. The fans will like it. And he was told by Sony straight up that what he wanted was extremely too ambitious. It was too big. And I think that's probably what we're going to get. We're going to get exactly what Dreadpool just said. We're going to get that story that Corey wanted to tell. It's just going to be directed by someone else.
Yeah. And when you look at it, how much fluff do you want? How many missions do you want to go searching for somebody's leg? So I'm just gonna, let's be real about it. If that's what they decided, and he doesn't have any interest in making a third, and that's probably part of what's going on is, we're wanting more. We want a trilogy. Usually that's what you want, right? You want a trilogy or you want it to keep going. And I know, for the most part, nobody liked this route of God of War at first, right? Because everybody wanted the original God of War that we knew of. And what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to try it out and see what it is. And with all that heartfelt soul that he put into this game, and then going with an expansion that turned into a full-on game for the most part, so it just depends on which cloud you sit on. If it's a full game, if it's an expansion, it's a standalone DLC, whatever. It's still a game. It's still more of what we want. And I've already told you guys before that, he got divorced because of this, because he was spending too much time with the game. So it's not just the game.
It's a personal struggle, dude, with these games. Absolutely, 100%.
And the good news is he's still hanging out with his wife. So, that part of the relationship is still good. It's just they're not married, which is good for their kid. Now, like I said, when it comes to the game, we want something good. We don't want any fluff. We want to get in there. We want to play. We want the story. Now, he probably has no more story to tell, So move on and let somebody else pick up Egypt or whatever else they're going to go to and go from there. That's about it, man. I don't know what else to say about it.
No, I agree. I think you said all that needs to be said about it. Obviously, God of War is going to be coming. It's going to be great. I don't expect a drop off in quality at all. Like I said, I was a little taken aback by the fact that this is not going to be a trilogy, but he explained why he didn't want this to be a 15-year development arc for a trilogy. Yeah. And considering that each game takes 5 years, well, there you go.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too, right? The using the same assets, right? And how many times have I said that before? I'm fine with them adding to the original assets so that way we can get a game faster, right? Because think about it, if they had to start all fresh and start with new assets on this game, how much longer we would have had to wait for this game to come out? So let's remember, just because they're using assets doesn't mean that the game's gonna suck. It's just, it allows them to speed through and get that next game out, and less worry about quality because the quality is already there.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, that's funny because that's one of the biggest complaints I was seeing on the interwebs, and this could just be trolls, because Xbox has plenty of trolls too, that the game just looked like God of War. That's okay, because God of War looked pretty damn good to me. So, okay. I don't know what people were expecting. But that's me. Asante, let's bring you into the conversation, brother. Are you surprised or even remotely concerned that this story arc is going to be done in two? And again, no one ever said it was going to be a trilogy. We just assumed, and you know what they say about assume.
No, of course. No, I understand. So the analogy I'll give for this, and everyone has made good points. Dread and Crispy and Noof, you guys have basically said exactly what I was going to say. The analogy I'll give is I watch a lot of TV, right? As you know, I do a movie and TV show podcast. Shout out to On the Reel. And when you do that, you tend to, it becomes something that you get to know very cyclically, right? So it's like at some point they lose the thread on the creative idea, and then as Dredd has has aptly pointed out, then they start adding filler. Let's go do a side quest for another 10 hours or whatever, right? British TV shows tend to be very like you'll watch a TV show that's made in England, and there'll be like 7 episodes for the whole season. And it'll be like an hour per episode. And every single episode is, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. Whereas other shows are like 23 episodes and it's filler. If this is what they want to tell, if this is the story they want to tell the story the way you want to, man. And I am in no way, shape, or form under any illusions that this gets finished and then we don't see Kratos again.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
they're gonna put him somewhere else very soon.
Maybe if they got to bring him to space, they'll figure it out.
Who knows? Maybe they've told all the stories they can tell from the Norse mythology side. Maybe with Marvel being as hot as it is, they kind of don't want to muddy the waters with this Thor versus that Thor. Who knows, right? But whoever is a God of War fan, which I am, I thought Bad Parent God of War was one of the most amazing experiences I've had that year, and I still think it's amazing. I want to replay it. It's going to be great. Whatever they do next is going to be absolutely fantastic because, as you said, the studio does not make a bad game.
Right.
And as far as it being something that Cory Barlog is not necessarily directing, it is what it is. He said it pretty well. It tires you out going through what he had to go through to make that thing as great as it was, right? So you don't want him to burn out all his creative juices and not get anything else from him. So it's a good thing that he tapped a coworker and said, hey, this one's yours. Let him shine a little bit. I think this is all good news. And as far as when this gets released, I was happy to hear that they were reusing assets and it was going to be a quote unquote expandalone. That's the word of the word that a lot of people have been using, expandalones. I think Jeffrey Grubb said that.
Jeffrey
first,
Grubb.
That's right.
Yeah.
It would start initially as an expansion, but then it would grow beyond its initial potential scope. So then they make it a standalone kind of expansion or the next iteration of the game. There's nothing wrong with that, Why, if you're doing Spider-Man, why do you want to rebuild New York for every game? That's ridiculous.
I agree.
Streets
100%.
don't change.
Yeah.
So I think all that is, as you said, as you aptly pointed out, it's trolling. I'm excited to see what they do whenever they do it. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. And I think that the idea that this is not a trilogy is actually a good thing because maybe we see him in different scenarios after that. But if you love him, don't assume that he's going anywhere because I think he's going to be fine. And Atreus is probably going to join him in other adventures too, I suspect. So that's right.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But listen, folks, this has been a great first half of the show, as promised, as advertised. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes, if you will, of what has taken over the socials, if you will, in the last 12 hours. We got some of the look, if Johnny on the corner, who's looking to sell you some bootleg CDs, is telling you that there's something happening, you might want to, question that. And I hear you, but we have people in this industry that we trust. ACG is one of the people that I go to for news. And when he speaks, kind of like E.F. Hutton, I listen. And he's one of the people talking about and has been talking about for quite some time that something big for Microsoft was happening. But before we get into that topic, before we get into the, again, meat and potatoes of today's show, I got to thank a few people for super chats that have come in. Kevin S. drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, hello, Boom. You should have members of the channel do a guest appearance sometimes like me. Listen, brother, DM me. Let's get you on the show. You don't even got to be a channel member, brother. I love introducing new voices. In fact, a lot of the voices that are on my shows currently were asked to be on as guests, and they just did so well. Asante is another perfect example of that. He was immediately asked to be on the show. Same thing for Crispy and Dreadpool, for that matter. So yeah, hit me up in the DMs, brother, and we will get you on the show. We also have Sin Vendetta drops an outstanding $5. This is Boom. A side note: I took that spare PSN currency and pre-ordered Horizon Forbidden West. So problem solved. Yeah, if you missed it on Twitter, he did something that I've notoriously done, and I just want to punch myself in the face. You get a code, you put the code in, you go to pay for said game, and instead of switching it to the code, you actually have it on your credit card, and you buy the game when you just bought the code, and you're like, damn it. I didn't want to do that.
Software does not automatically like use your credit. You have to choose it before it does. That's happened to me a few times too,
and it makes me mad. But then again, I wrote to him on Twitter, and I said that well, at least it's both a curse and a blessing, because now you can buy another game. And look, he bought another game. So good on you for that, brother. I'm glad it all worked out. Spider-Man drops another outstanding $5 from Jen. Says, question for the panel: do you think Starfield would have come out last year if Microsoft hadn't bought Bethesda? Being bought gave them more time to polish. It's funny. The one thing I think Todd Howard and everyone at Bethesda wants to get away from and get out of the umbrella of which they're known for is bugs. Like, their games are great. We all love them. But a lot of their games are buggy as H. So I think that, it's beneficial for them to release late next year. It gives them all the time in the world to make the game as great as we all think it's going to be. I mean, this is something that they've been working on, from what we understand, for 10 years. This is a 10-year project that is coming to fruition. And Todd Howard is going to get his one of his dreams. Besides Indiana Jones, he kind of really wants to make a space game, and he's going to get it. And we're going to be all unbelievably impressed when we play it next year. And I'm okay with the wait, to be honest with you. But thank you for the super chat. We also have Bunty, which, by the way, dropped an outstanding and, in my opinion, ridiculous $50 super chat yesterday. He continues his generosity with a $2 super chat today and says, pair character doing a shaka, sign with the hand saying cool. Dude, I don't know what that means, but maybe it's something that flew over my head. We'll talk.
It's a super sticker.
It's
describing.
Thank you, sir. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you for the super sticker, Bunty, and thank you for the generosity. Honestly, you are too generous. I definitely appreciate that. We have Otaku drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, rarely ever catch your show live, but I'm always watching every episode when I work overnight. Just wanted to support and show some love. Well, dude, thank you for the watching of the videos, and also thank you for the generosity. It is great that you are here with us. And Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, I haven't played any of the PlayStation games on PS3 and PS4 and PS5, but I might play their games on PC. Yeah, and you're not wrong for that. Listen, I'll put it to this way. A good friend of the show, and he's obviously one of the cogs that keeps the Xbox Factor podcast running, in Zemi Games. He recently got himself a PlayStation 5, and he's playing a lot of the older games that he didn't get a chance to play because he didn't have a PlayStation 4. And I told him straight up, I'm jealous, because you're getting a chance to experience God of War at 60 frames, Horizon at 60 frames. All of these games he's going to get a chance to enjoy. Same thing with Everborn, for that matter. Everborn missed out on a lot of these games. He's playing them, and that's awesome. I'm not really quote unquote jealous. I'm just saying that to be facetious. But to experience these games in their best form, you couldn't ask for a better experience. So yeah, play it on PC, dude. You're gonna get the best experience. But folks, as we roll into the 1 hour and 3 minute aspect of the show, we got to get to the meat and potatoes of why a lot of you folks have tuned in. And folks, we have heard the words, it is acquisition season. We've heard that from ACG. We've heard that from Special Nick of Xbox Era. We've heard that from numerous sources that have the ear of the industry. And once again, yesterday was a fever pitch for Microsoft apparently signing a big deal. Now, the rumor that has popped out all over the socials has been that Microsoft did, in fact, whatever they were working on was signed yesterday. The press release is apparently being prepared as we speak, as we talk on this show, if it wasn't done yesterday, and is supposedly going to be releasing Monday morning. And obviously, we're going to speculation town. We are going to get really crazy and weird with this. A lot of people are going to have different opinions on where they're going to be taking this. Listen, the bottom line is this. I've said this numerous times before, and I will say it again. There is a reason that Sony is locking up these 2-year deals. It's not because they want to be the big man on campus. It's not that. The truth of the matter is, and this is, people are going to get probably angry at me for saying this, they're not Microsoft, and they just do not have the financial capital to make these kind of purchases. That's a reality. They've bought some smaller things that are going to work with them, and that has worked with them in the past. And we've seen that. They made some big purchases, none bigger than Insomniac Games, which in my opinion was a discount. It was almost like going to the dollar store and getting a name brand. I mean, that's how the cheap their acquisition was to the. I mean, right now Insomniac Games is carrying Sony on their back. That is something that I'm not the first to say it. We all know it's true. The work that they're doing is godlike at that studio. And Microsoft is building. Microsoft is recovering from a horrendous 2013 that started a generation anew and almost lost instantaneously. They started new and lost a generation both at the same time. You can argue with me on that, but the reality is that is what happened, and it took them years and years and years of struggle and a lot of face palming and a lot of head scratching until Phil Dominus Maximus Aurelius Spencer got the head of Xbox in 2017, and then of course in 2018 he was moved up to the seat to the right hand of Satya Nadella. And from 2018, E3 2018, we have seen one incredible turnaround, unlike anything we've seen in gaming, folks. What Microsoft or Phil Spencer and that team at Redmond have been able to do has been nothing short of miraculous. They have done something ultra special with a brand that at one point was potentially going to be sold off, right? So we obviously don't know. Kay Asante, I want to go to you first on this. This is a big topic. I don't know how much longer we have you for, but we got to get into this. There are talks that it's going to be 2K or Take-Two. There are talks that it's going to be WB, that it's going to be Sega, that it's going to be.
Everyone's got their favorite.
Ubisoft is one that started making the rounds yesterday. Which I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say this live on the air, and I've been talking with Everborn last night. He called me at 6:00 this morning. We were talking. We've been on this Ubisoft train.
I know.
Do I think it's Ubisoft? I don't know. But I will tell you this. If it turns out to be Ubisoft, what Microsoft immediately does is completely now again, one of the biggest complaints is Microsoft has no games, right? And that's no longer a conversation. If you are a knucklehead saying that, just put yourself in a corner, turn around, and put the thumb in the mouth, because you're just a stupid baby at this point. Don't be that guy or gal. They have more games. I have so many games that my 2021 backlog is gross. Okay?
Insane.
It's
just ridiculous. Yep.
So that's how many games that they have. But one of the complaints that a lot of people have, including myself, that wants it because I love these types of games, is the single player, story driven, selfish
just
experience.
One. Hashtag just one.
Just one. Well, folks, I mean, if it turns out to be Ubisoft and they completely shock the world, man, I got to tell you, that conversation completely gets wiped off the table as well, because now you're talking about Sam Fisher coming back, which we've all been asking for. I've been calling that for the last 4 E3s, and I'm wrong right along with Randall Thor 19, friend of the program. You get you get an exclusive Sam Fisher, right? You get the next Assassin's Creed exclusive. You get the next Far Cry exclusive. You get the next Ghost Recon exclusive. You get the next Rainbow Six.
So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Do you really think that it's one of the popular ones?
I do.
I don't know why, but something's telling me that it's not. It'll be big, but I don't think it'll be the ones that everybody thinks it is.
It's too obvious, to be honest with you. I think you're onto something with that. It is too obvious. But here's the thing.
So let me put my tinfoil. Oh, please finish.
Put your hat on and go crazy.
Yeah, let me put my tinfoil hat on for a minute. Can it possibly be that this is where we're gonna go? Where it's gonna be one of the big dogs? Hell yeah, it can. Let's be real here. Microsoft has so much money that they can throw at any problem, right? If money's the problem solved, right?
Yes.
But we know that money's not always the solution to the problem, okay? And the fact that they have too much money is also becoming a problem. If we've seen the environment, companies like Discord have used Microsoft to increase their own pedigree only to then go IPO after that, right? So them having all the ducats in the world doesn't mean that, oh yeah, they just own everything, right? And I also hear a lot of people talking about, well, if they buy the big ones, then we'll start hearing anti-monopoly conversations and all of that, right? I don't know why, but to me, being that we see what they're doing as far as it's all about content, it's all about making sure that the Game Pass has always got something new. You know, we hear all this stuff about they have all these IPs, but they don't have developers to do it. Right? We've heard that many times. This IP they own, that IP they own. Killer Instinct, where is it? We don't have the right developers to do it, right? I don't know why, and I have really no, and I will leave it to better minds than myself to tell me why I'm wrong. But I have a feeling they're not going for the big dog. They're going for the little dog. They're going for, and we're talking publishers because it needs to be of that ilk, right? They're going for publishers that may be in the periphery that everybody recognizes, but don't consider them one of the big ones, okay? Now, I honestly think that everyone will be surprised when they hear what this is, but let me throw out my tinfoil hat. And I know I'm wrong. Let's be clear here. I know I'm wrong. But if we're talking about this person wants Sega, that person wants this person wants that, let me tell you what I want. Embracer Group.
You know, you said that in the DM. You really did, and you know something to speak on that. To speak to the people.
Let me give you just a small idea of what Embracer Group is.
You know what? Do me a favor, real quick, before you do give that spiel. Tell the listeners who the hell is Embracer Group.
Oh yeah, so. Embracer Group was basic. Think of the long story short. Think of Embracer Group as, remember in the 90s when we had AA games, and then they all died out.
Yes.
Embracer Group rebought all of the 90s AA games, and when I say all, I'm not being hyperbolic. They right now own 244 IPs.
Yeah, it's a total of 76 studios, if I'm not mistaken.
They own some of the biggest dogs in the game, and you don't know they own them because they're all working autonomously.
Yes.
Right? They own Gearbox.
Yes, they do.
If Microsoft buys Embracer Group, the next Saints Row that everybody's heard about, that would be their game. They own Koch Media. I mean, when I start telling you how many things that these guys own, Switch games, Nintendo, PlayStation games, mobile games, if you are trying to like flood the zone with just studios and content, Embracer Group. And the idea that, monopolistic ideas, these guys own 244 IP. They own so many studios, it's ridiculous. Over 70.
Yeah.
And when I say they own them, they own the publishing arm and then all the studios underneath them. It's just nuts, the amount of content they've been able to acquire together. They own THQ Nordic, as I'm sure you guys know. So that's all
I love.
games.
They have magnificent IPs at THQ. Yeah.
Exactly. So will it happen? I don't think it'll happen, but I guess I'm throwing this out because a lot of people just keep pointing to the big guys, and there's just so much more out there than the big guys. They buy Embracer Group, they all of a sudden own Biomutant, they own Destroy All Humans, they own Darksiders, they like your favorite game, Kingdoms of Amalur, they own that.
Loved Kingdoms.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like they own so much stuff now. everybody, the first pushback would be, come on, guys, this is not the tip of the spear IPs. These aren't the ones that people are buying consoles for, right? Right? True, but you want Killer Instinct. Where's the developer for that? You want this game. Where's the developer for that? These guys are just nothing but devs. I mean, hundreds of devs,
and you could potentially, you throw an email out there. Who wants to work on the next Banjo-Kazooie? Yeah, we do.
There you go. And the worry that now all of a sudden you have so many employees. They're a publisher. There are multiple publishers in there. Gearbox is a publisher. They own Gearbox.
Well, the first thing I would do if they did buy them is
get rid of. I know.
Get rid of the frat boy.
I know where you're going with that for sure. They own so many of them. So basically, these guys make money, and they're just there making money. They make the games, they sell the games, they make the money. So if you buy them, right, you don't have to worry about like paying their salaries until they produce. They're a well-oiled producing machine at this point. Now they produce for the purpose of keeping the shareholders happy, all of that, right? So that's why whenever we have these conversations, people use historical information. Well, they do this. Well, they do that for their taskmaster, right? When Microsoft buys them, all of a sudden they have a new taskmaster with different goals, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying this will happen. I'm not saying it happened. And by the way, their market cap last I checked was like $2 billion. So let's say you pay more than it's worth, $5 billion. That is
you double it
pocket
up.
change.
Yeah, you double it
pocket
up. Pocket
change. Yeah. That is what you find between the couch cushions at Satya Nadella's house. That is nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I want to go over his house and kind of
right?
wait him to leave the room and then go looking through his couch.
The last big purchase they made was $20 billion, and that was nothing for them. So 5 is sneezing down. Like, they just wipe their butt and move on, right? Obviously, they can't do that because when they do that, even though to them it's nothing, to the world it's like, oh, this company's too big, they're going to take over. So they must walk softly and carry a big stick, right? They cannot be like, look at us throwing our money around, right? If they wanted to buy anyone, they could, but they have to be strategic in their endeavors. But I'm just putting it out there, right? As we know it, yes, everybody says Xbox got no games. Yes, we know this, right? But for those of us that are on Game Pass, for those of us that play, I am like, I have so much in my backlog. It's so much in my backlog. And then, of course, Deathloop came and changed my world. But that's a different conversation.
I'm playing
so much in my backlog.
And I'm doing the cardinal sin in gaming. Well, right with you. Playing multiple games, Keosante.
Bro, it's too much. It's too much. It's too much. But I can't stop. But what I'm saying is people need to start, like, getting out of their own way. Like, broaden your horizons, right? I'm not saying Embracer Group is even remotely possible. I'm not saying it is, but there are so many of them out there. Everborn's been talking about what about IO and then Crytek and then there are so many 1, 2, 3, 4 that you buy together and then maybe add it to Bethesda as their publishing, add it to Bethesda Publishing, so it's under them, right? There's so many avenues that this can travel. So, I'm excited to hear what it is. I'm just throwing my tinfoil hat a recommendation out there. Look them up, Embracer Group. You'll be surprised how many IPs they own, how many of them you know and love. Time Splitters. Remember that game? They own that too.
And that's coming back, by the way. That's confirmed to be
coming
back. They're working on that right now, a next-gen version of that.
Red Faction, they own that too. Just look them up.
Great game.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. That's my thoughts on it.
Well, listen, what I want to do is the super chats are flying in. So before I get to Noof Nukem, I want to read the super chats. This is going to be an interesting conversation. Now, obviously, the show was built talking about what does the delay of Battlefield 2042 do for Halo. We're going to get to that. We're gonna back end that. Even if we don't spend an hour on it, we're going to get to it. I don't think it's going to matter. I think that it's Halo. I think Battlefield is his own animal, but we'll get to that. I promise you. Chaos Mike drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, just listening live, I'm hyped for 2042, but I think it'll hurt 2042 more than Halo since Halo free to play. That's a great point. We're going to talk about that for multiplayer when 2042 is a multiplayer only and you got to buy it. Yeah, I agree 100%. Raiden Blade drops an additional £5 super chat and says, I'm with King on this. Do you believe that Wolverine CGI reveal was done by Insomniac or an outside third party just for the reveal? It probably was. It was probably contracted I mean, it wasn't. I mean, what was the reveal? Was it like 17 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever it was? That was contracted out. More than likely, it's going to probably the in-game movies are going to look similar, but it was probably contracted out.
Stuff like that usually is contracted out.
Usually it is 100%. Drawn TJ drops a wow, $20 from Genesis. Which one makes more sense for Xbox? Them to buy Take-Two or Capcom? With GTA, they stopped the console war, but at the same time, with Capcom, they get a foothold in Japan, and Phil wants more fans in Japan. What do you think? You know what? 4 years ago, I would have said, back in 2016, so 4 or 5 years ago, I would have said Capcom 100% because they were on death's door. They were going to file Chapter 11. People don't know that was a thing. But since the release of Resident Evil 7 and Monster Hunter, and it's just been one hit after another, Resident 2 remake, Resident 3 remake, they're working on some stuff. I don't necessarily know if they line up for a purchase. I think they're making too much money. I would love Capcom selfishly because that would be ridiculous. But Take-Two's another one. The GTA conversation is great on paper, but Everborn and I were talking about it last year. They posted an $150 million loss, so they didn't make money last year. This year they posted so far $150 million profit. I don't know if 2K would. I mean, because 2K has some great IPs, but if you want my honest opinion, I would. Do I want Take-Two for just GTA, or would I want like for me? This is just me, and someone said it in the chat. I'm going to find it a WB. Because that does, I believe someone said it in the chat. I'll get your name in a second. That it solves 80% of Microsoft's problem. Again, with Game Pass, you got to put pop culture names in there that people that the normies, that the casual audience understand. Batman, as again, it goes back to my whole they need a hero thing. Yeah, I still think that they do. But you put Mortal Kombat on your advertising for Game Pass, Mortal Kombat 12 in Game Pass, people will be like, what the hell is Game Pass? But they're going to know Mortal Kombat, right? And they're going to come to your platform in the form of whether that be on your tablet, your phone, your computer, or the console itself, or even the TVs later this fall. Mm-hmm. They're going to know Mortal Kombat. They're going to want to play that, and they're going to subscribe to your series, to your Netflix of gaming service. So we will see. Let's see. Raiden Blade drops an additional £5. Super chances is going to be 3 times acquisition all at once. Take-Two, WB, THQ Nordic. Well, that would be insane if that happened. Kia Walker, good friend of the show, he drops on $5 Super chances. I'm hoping that it's Bandai Namco. That would be pretty cool as well. They have a lot of IP. Sin Vendetta, generous friend of the show, he drops an additional $5 Super chances. Honestly, in my opinion, the one genre Xbox needs to address is the fighting game genre. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And the studio that they would need is a studio to fix that would be NetherRealm. They need them 100%, dude. I've been banging that drum for a while. Brandon X RLS drops a $2 super chat and says, it will be Take-Two. Let's get it. Yeah, indeed. I guess it's possible. Z Black Rider drops an additional $5 super chat and says, let's just say it. Microsoft's best bet is Embracer Group. They need mobile games. I mean, Kayasante, I think he's definitely onto something with that. Raiden Blade drops an additional $2 super chat and says, Microsoft has $200 billion cash, which must be spent before 2022. That is absolutely correct. Otherwise, they have to pay taxes on it, so they'd rather spend it. Space Dovigan drops an additional $5 super chat and says, that's why WB makes so much sense. Microsoft can acquire them with or without the IPs at a discount and still make the same sense. It's all about manpower. Yeah, but I think that they would want those IPs. It would be baked into the deal, whether it be a 10-year deal or a 20-year deal or a lifetime deal. They want Batman. They want to be able to make an exclusive Batman game or whatever, a Justice League game, whatever. They want to be able to do that. Horace drops an outstanding $5, which says part of the reason last gen was so bad was because Sony locked us out of a lot of games by making these exclusive deals with the devs. Never again. GM. Yeah, JM. Yeah, no, it's true. Philly Eagle, generous friend of the show, he drops a $5 super chat and says, a monopoly doesn't mean a lot of IPs. It means blocking the ability for others to compete. Let's stop the monopoly talk, folks. You're 100% right. People need to stop that the nonsense, because when you start saying monopoly and you talk about Embracer Group has 76 developers, Microsoft has 23. It's only a third of what they have. So please stop the talk of they're taking over the world. They're not. Brett Bingham drops a $10 super chat and says, if stock strength was an indicator, I would guess Bandai Namco. Its stock activity has been unusually high for the last month, given the other publishers. I've also seen more things to back that my suspicion. You might be onto something with that. We've heard Bandai Namco as well. JD Gamer. Hey, JD, welcome back, brother. He drops a $2 super chat and says, what if it's not just WB Games, but all of WB? That is something to be talked about. But Noof Nukem, as a gamer, as a podcaster and content creator, we've been hearing for what seems like almost the entire 21 campaign that a big acquisition was going to happen. And now the rumors are starting to float. It's starting to bubble. It's starting to simmer. Where do you fall on who the hell does Microsoft buy next?
Well, like I said, Kei Asante, he's definitely on the right track. I mean, in terms of Embracer, like I said, because, we think of Game Pass very narrow-mindedly. We think of it as just Xbox, but you got to remember it's big on PC, also big in the mobile market. And where do you expand when you come to some of the Asian markets where the Xbox brand has not thrived is in the mobile market, which is huge. So you start getting those smaller IPs, which, like I said, might mean nothing to the majority of us, but boy, they are huge and they make billions of dollars. You think of something how small a game was years ago, like Candy Crush and all these kind of things, like those kind of games that, like I said, most of us dismiss. They rake in the money. They subsidize your whole company, and they make money from the casual markets. Right.
Real quick, a buddy of mine runs is the executive producer on Candy Crush. He make, like, back in the day when people were talking Call of Duty, he would laugh like that stupid mobile studio makes more money in a day than like Call of Duty does in like a year. They are nuts. Wow. They print money. It's absolutely right. Yeah, 100%.
So don't dismiss them because we think they're small, they're huge. These little things, because what's the one thing that's more Xbox, PC, PlayStation, all combined? Mobile phones. Everybody has one.
100%,
even your
dude. Great
7 and 8-year-old kids are going around with phones. And what are they doing when they're on their phones? They're playing games. At the end of the day, they all want to make money. And while, like I said, we can dismiss those little things, the fact of the matter is those microtransactions and many of those free-to-play games are big business. There is a reason. Again, it's is what it is. But on a more serious note, at least to my degree, from an Xbox standpoint, what makes perfect sense for them, again, is Warner Brothers games. And why? Because one, like Ubisoft, those guys, Ubisoft and Sega and those guys, they're very successful as it is. They don't need to be under anybody else's umbrella. They're making good money. Like I don't recall anybody saying, Sega potentially, because they've had their ups and downs, but Ubisoft, why would they need Microsoft? They're making money hand over fist with some of the biggest IPs in the gaming industry. Square Enix again,
this year they dropped 3, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, like these are very successful. Like to me, why would Rockstar or Take-Two, why would they need to be underneath Microsoft umbrella? Like these guys are making like billions of bank. It just, I mean, for Microsoft, sure, it'd be a huge boom, but for them personally, like it doesn't make a lot of sense. What does make sense and is more in the realm of realistic possibility, it's Warner Bros. Why? Because the Warner Brothers people that own them, they're stakeholders. They've been falling. I forget who it is. Kei Asante probably knows for sure. Or Dreadpool, who owns those guys. It was made public. Like they are. They've been losing money. Like they are. Remember, there's just a while ago they're talking about selling off IPs and different things.
Yeah,
WB. AT&T. Yep.
AT&T, right? So. What better than come in and get a huge bailout for them from Microsoft, who can come in with the bank to buy them up, and not only do you get, as I've said on previous podcasts, do you get some of the best, most renowned developers in the gaming space, like Rocksteady, but instantaneously you have access. I mean, NetherRealms and Rocksteady right there alone is big. I mean, Mortal Kombat is a huge property, not to mention the possibilities of what NetherRealm could do with Microsoft behind them, other IPs that have been stagnant. People want Killer Instinct back, the fighting genre,
People
as you said.
discount TT Games. TT Games is
Yeah.
big for Game Pass.
Dude,
People
that
discount
would that,
Traveler's
you know what,
Tales.
what would TT Games do for them? What did Phil
Yes.
want? More family friendly games.
Maybe they don't do Lego anymore. Maybe they become the secondary Minecraft producer. They start doing what they did with
Give
Lego
him
with
Banjo,
Minecraft.
bro.
Yeah.
Or yeah, that's right. Or Banjo, or Conquer, or all those other family fare that they don't have developers to create. Perfect plan. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the IPs, if they can, again, this is where I said this is where it gets tricky, right? Because Warner Brothers, but you also have to think of Warner Brothers depths within film, television, comics. They have a lot of IPs, they have a lot of licenses as well, that either one you could license out to other people and make back money. You could keep them under your own umbrella and keep stuff that's timed exclusive or exclusive to your brand. And if they can secure something like Batman and all of these type of things that we have certainly seen, my God, how big would it be? It would be a definitely a massive blow. It'd be because there's a reason Sony's doing what they're doing right now, right? There's a reason they're doing these things. Xbox wants to keep momentum in their court. Plus, again, they need content to make sure that Game Pass stays not only relevant today, but relevant in the future. Just as easy it is to gain a subscriber, it is just as easy to lose one if you do not keep relevant content. And the thing is, it's great to go out and buy all these other publishers too, like I said, that have all these games under the umbrella. But the difference between Warner Brothers and even, say, Embracer Group is the amount of instantly recognizable IP and licenses that Warner Brothers has.
IPs that are all over there. Nostalgia is king.
Absolutely.
Right
the
there.
movie industry alone, look at The Matrix is run by Warner Brothers.
There you go.
Right? The Matrix. What movie's coming out now? A new Matrix.
It's
right?
funny because didn't Xbox, the official Twitter account, do something with the Matrix numbers running down in the background just the other day?
Yeah.
They literally just tweeted something the other day, and people were like, wow, this is kind of weird. Like, there's no Matrix game, or is there?
Yeah.
Or
man.
is
don't,
it
don't
is
don't
the
blow
OG
me away, dude. Don't do this to me, man. You're gonna have me lose my job, lose my kids, be in the Matrix for the next 2-3 weeks a month. Stop it. Don't do that to me.
What if the OG Matrix game is BC?
Yeah.
Bro, I still play that OG Matrix game. I have it on my PC.
That game was
the
dope.
Matrix
That game was dope, by the way.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yes.
But I'll just often say, guys, this is the one that makes the most sense for Xbox because it has the instantaneously recognizable IP, and by having a strong partnership with Warner Brothers and all of their affiliations within that, it gives them leverage. It gives them lots of things to go to the well with. I mean, nothing would look sicker to me on an Xbox banner right next to Master Chief and all these people is to see iconic movies, game licenses up there, too big to ignore. People will be like, wow, you got Bethesda and you got those titles, but I'm sorry, as big as Elder Scrolls is for Bethesda, are they to come quite close to the instantaneously recognizability of something like Batman, Superman, all of these characters that you can get within there, if again they can get the studio. And it's much easier to get those licenses if you have the great relationship with Warner Brothers. This is the reason Insomniac can get Wolverine, because Sony's got the inside track with Marvel characters, with Spider-Man and stuff. You think that was a coincidence? No. Why wasn't it a DC character? Why? Because Sony has the inroads with Marvel because of the relationship with Disney and the Spider-Man property, so on and so forth. And it just made sense for Insomniac because they've proven now that they can do a great comic book character game. This is my thought. I think if it's going to be anything that would blow the industry open again right now, that would be, quote unquote, as big as Bethesda. This is the only thing that makes sense to me. That makes sense not only for Microsoft but for its fan base.
Yeah, dude, you completely, wow, man. I don't think I could have said it better myself. You knocked it out of the park, and you really painted a picture. I want to buy your Picasso, brother, because I'm definitely all in. Let's get Crispy Bomb. Crispy, IP is God. I'm not saying that. That's coming from friend of the show, Jez Corden of Windows Central, and he's 100% onto something when he says that. It makes a difference of IP on what IP you have. And if you have IP that's instant, like Noof just said, instantaneously looked upon as, oh, I know that one, you're going to drive sales to your box or service. And as we've seen before, Microsoft isn't interested in selling you a box. Sure, they want to sell you a Series S or X. That is a fact. But they are the one company that does not have to rely on you, the purchaser, buying said box, because there are so many ways to play. Where do you fall? Who do you want Microsoft to buy?
It would be WB. I mean, it's a logical purchase. The only thing is, like, at first we're like, okay, WB Games. What if Microsoft bought all of WB?
That someone actually, yeah, dude. Someone just said that in the super chat. I think you're onto something with that.
Now the only reason why I started having this thought recently is because, you know, everybody says Sony, Xbox, you know, Sony, Microsoft, like, you know, that's the gaming space. But at this point, Microsoft is trying to become a media space in some way, shape, or form.
100%.
And
100%.
And if you look at what Disney has been doing, very quietly, by the way, they have been buying up a lot, and a lot of IP in general, including, you know, movies that could be spun off into games and such. They're not making, you know, video games right now. They're just like, hey, Sony, you want this? Hey, you want that? You know, here you go. You know, licensing everything out. They're making bank off that. That's the way they're going about it. But at the same time, does Microsoft want, all of a sudden, you just never know, Disney be like, you know what, we want WB. You know what? We'll bring the DC universe in here too. We'll figure something out. You know what I mean? Like, that probably scares Microsoft, because now you're looking at, you know, as far as iconic superheroes, there's not many left.
They would have the market cornered, bro.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very, very logical that they would do this. And like I say, I mean, what would it cost? I mean, how much money can Microsoft spend? They can spend what they want.
What I suspect they would do in a situation like this is overspend. Some people suggest that they overspend it on Bethesda. I can see an $8 billion deal for WB, potentially more, and they add those extra billions. And like, who the hell am I? I'm just a podcaster. I'm not a banker. But they add those extra B's to the conversation, so they lock up the IP. You know, again, whether it's a 20-year deal or 25-year deal, it's a lifetime deal. There's no way Microsoft is. Listen, Rocksteady is talented. You know, Mortal Kombat is an iconic IP, but they wouldn't be spending this kind of money just to lock up some talent and a few IPs. They want Batman. And folks, you've heard me ranting the last couple of weeks or the last week about after listen, I can't wait to play Wolverine on my PlayStation 5. I cannot wait to go up against Kraven the Hunter in Spider-Man 2. But my biggest beef with Microsoft is that there are a lot of people in our community that 100% disagree with me. Say, boom, you're out of your mind. They don't need them. That's where I think we differ in opinion. I think that they do need a superhero, and who wouldn't want a Batman exclusive by Rocksteady?
Yeah, absolutely. And just think, I mean, come on, if they did that, and then Mortal Kombat 12 is exclusive.
Put that banner. Put that on the banner next to Master Chief and Game Pass. What do? You send people into a frenzy, bro. Mortal Kombat 11 is the best selling in the freaking franchise.
Yeah. And dude, like, I mean, people are gonna be mad. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh yeah,
there's gonna be a lot of salty, angry people. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to look at it this way. I'm not mad that Wolverine's exclusive. And that is my favorite comic book character. I am not mad that it's only on PlayStation. If I want to play it, guess what? I got to get a PS5. Yeah. Now, at the least, now I have that thought. And when it becomes more easy to get, that's when I go and get one at the regular price. At the least, I'm not going to go and spend $800 or something wild. Like the console's not worth that to me. You know what I mean? Like, one IP is not worth that. But if you want to play Mortal Kombat, you got to find somewhere to play it on Game Pass. And that's the difference. That's why anybody that says Monopoly, it doesn't really work, because there's too many options to go and play these games the way Xbox is doing it. And they continue to do it. So if you don't like it, well, that's tough. Like, you have a laptop, you could use xCloud, you could play the games.
Yeah, that's right.
Trust me. You know, now Xbox, you'll be able to eventually play on your OG one.
Yes,
I mean, come on,
correct.
think about that.
Yeah, that's a great
You can't
point.
call
Right?
this a
Oh,
monopoly.
I've been doing that in the beta like for a while now. Like one of the first things they added was that x86 browser. So on the OG VCR, I'm playing like Flight Sim because it's through the cloud.
That is
Wow.
crazy, dude.
That's
That is crazy.
It's awesome.
And how long ago did I say that?
Oh, you've been talking about that for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, I remember. I remember you've been talking about that for a while. Indeed, yes.
And I was the clown.
Oh, the people who didn't get it were the clowns. Clearly,
Exactly.
There you go. Now
Clearly.
you've had your revenge.
But yeah, I really have nothing else to say. I mean, it's got to, if it's not WB, then I don't see, Take-Two being a logical purchase. As of late, they have so many games that are taking such long dev cycles. It's really not made for Game Pass. It's not. Game Pass it has to have IPs that churn out quickly, and now they
Yes.
have some that churn out in a 5 to 10 year period. Some of them even feel like, I mean, think about how long Starfield's been in development. You know what I mean? Like,
quite some.
there's going to be games like that they take this long period of time. And, the only thing we say is it better be good at the end of the day, because you're putting all that investment in there. It better be good.
Like, one bad mother in the chat sums this up quite well in one little paragraph. Batman, Master Chief, Scorpion, Elder Scrolls, Doom Guy. Holy shit, all the marketing potential for Game Pass.
Yeah, and by the way, if you don't know who One Bad Mother is, he just wrote an article about
the voice of
Microsoft.
reason from Xbox era.
Yeah, yes, great member of Xbox era. He's been on Primetime Gaming several times. Listen, check out his stuff. He just dropped an article on why not Microsoft needs a superhero game. It was fantastic. It's done in video form. If you don't want to read, you can just listen to somebody, listen to him talk about it. It was fantastic. He just put it out. Definitely got to get you into this program. Maybe one of the upcoming Breakfast with Brooms, brother, will get you in here, because you are one of my favorite media writers for sure. But Crispy, great stuff as always. Dreadpool, let's get your final opinion on this, and we will get to the last topic. Big Cloud, what's up, brother? Welcome to the program, dude. Dreadpool, who do you expect that we're going to be talking about for what seems like weeks and potentially months come Monday morning? Because we know something happened. It's being reported that something happened. Something big is going to happen. Who do you want it to be? Dred, you there, brother?
Yeah, I'm sitting here talking to myself.
Oh, it's okay.
Nothing new, right? So yeah, everybody knows my fan favorite would be bringing Sega on, right? Sammy,
Yes.
remember a while back, Sammy reorganized, got rid of their arcade. What did I say? They're setting up Sega to be sold off. They want to show as much value out of that,
Yep.
and obviously if they could do very well reorganizing and getting them to minimize all costs to see what kind of profit that they can make, if not just show value for a sale. At least this way they could probably keep them, and figure out if it's worth trying to hold on to them or not, but usually that's set up for a sale, so it's very probable on that one. How many times have I said WB? Xbox has not left the table. They're still sitting there. They just pushed back when the initial pushback was, oh no, they want more money. So
what's also interesting to that point. We thought, a lot of people thought that they stepped away from the table, but when it comes to those licensing deals, this was going to take a while. Maybe they've been at the table the whole time, Dre.
Right.
We just, they were just fine tooth combing, who gets the Batman? How long do we have it for? Do we get Wonder Woman? Do we get Superman? Are the next two games are going to be exclusive in Game Pass? That the Justice Kill the Justice League. When it comes to these IPs, there is a lot to consider.
Right. Is it going to be forced to be, are we going to get the studios and are we going to be forced to make them multiply, keep them that way? Or, are we going to get any kind of DLC or special? There's a whole bunch of little things, like you said, fine tuning. But then, and Everborn was there last night too. I was talking with Shane Lewis, a Rerez.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we were talking, someone brought up a nice studio, or not really a studio, publisher or company, put it that way. Let's say company, huge company, right? And it started making sense. And then, it's way out of the ballpark, right? Just don't think I'm actually saying this, but it's a possibility. And then Crispy brought it up with licensing, right? So, they license Havoc, they license this game, they license that, right? They're licensing all these things, the software that go into these other games that everybody's buying, right? So that way they can utilize it and make their games have physics, have this, have that. So when you do that, they're making money. It doesn't matter who's making it, where it's being made for, they're still making money, right? It's, what's it called? Diversification.
Yeah.
So who else has a good diversification? And with today, with what's going on with China, there's some issues going on there, right? Epic Games.
Wow.
Think about that. Get the Unreal Engine. They license that engine everywhere. You have
that's instant money for Microsoft. Yeah. Some actually, Everborn mentioned that. He said Epic Games. I said that was so far from my imagination. I can't even see it happening.
So and that's
it's like Steam. It's like Valve. Epic Games is Valve level crazy. If that were to happen, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Everybody was talking about Steam before, right? If Steam was possible before, what Epic Games would be too. And I see Epic Games more valuable in that instance because of what they have. You're talking about Fortnite, right? Nobody likes Fortnite, but guess what? It's a huge moneymaker
in one way or another because they're making billions per day.
Right. So if nobody likes it, but they're making they're printing money off of
they're
it.
literally printing money. Yeah.
And they can afford to pay for all these licensed comic book characters and I mean musicians to do their one shot or whatever they're doing for their concert. You know what I mean? They got all this stuff going on. So it kind of makes sense that they could do that. And with, like I said, with China's giving Tencent a whole bunch of crap about, where they're at. So it looks like they'll be backing off a bit.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
They may not have as much control.
That's great.
So they're losing, you know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of little things and I didn't think about it until someone brought it up. And then it's just like one thing after another, you start thinking a little bit more and more. I mean, that would be a big get right there. And that would be,
100%.
You throw away their store and nobody really goes to their store other than to get the free games that they offer. I don't. I mean, that's as far as I know, that's what I do. I just go in there, get the free game and I dip out. But other than that, I don't go shopping there. So, but that's my thing, I'm sure there's probably other people that like it, but yeah, you look at all that stuff that they have and what they have to offer. Think about this. Unreal Engine is also being used on what? The Mandalorian. They're using it on those stages. So it's not just there, it's in the film industry. So if we have Batman, they can utilize that Unreal Engine for the next Batman movie. They can use that, you know what I mean? They can do a whole bunch more than just games with it, and they're licensing it out to movie companies. So all these studios in the movie industry are getting some of that residual, that money from them. You know what I'm saying? So that could be a bigger get, as in a turnaround, a bigger bonus in the end versus, oh, we're going to get this game here, or we're just going to get Fortnite. What else do they have? Oh, I don't know, but we got Fortnite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's more to it when you look at it in the long run as to what they have. But I mean, I'm always going to say Sega, and as far as I know, WB was they just pushed back from the table. They didn't step up and walk away. There's, like we said, we're micromanaging. Okay, what can we do? What now that you're raising the stakes, now that you're actually worth something, what can we get out of it? And then here we go with Epic. So I'm at a toss up on the three of these.
Yeah,
Ubisoft, I don't see happening.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's whatever it's going to be big. First of all, want to welcome in BitCloud Gaming. Thanks for joining us, brother. You got us towards at the end of the show. What I want to do is I kind of want to just, because we don't have a lot of time and I don't want to hold too many people up. I do want to get to the quickly the Xbox topic regarding Halo. Folks, listen, I don't really care who's going to go up against Halo. It's the Master Chief. Halo Infinite is going to kill. I think it's going to be fantastic in both the single player and the multiplayer. Again, maybe a year ago it didn't look so good, but I think that we are going to get a real special game. But that's not the crux of the conversation. We got word that one of the biggest IPs in multiplayer. Of course, I'm talking about Battlefield 2042 is not only releasing this year, but it got delayed by a month. And it's going to be coming out on November 19th, 4 days after the anniversary, the 20th anniversary of both the Master Chief and Xbox as a platform. So I pitched the show as, is this a problem for Xbox? Is it a problem more specifically for Halo? Is Halo going to be hurt? And you know what? Because we don't have a lot of time, I don't want to do round robin. I want anyone that wants to jump in, just jump in. Me personally, I don't think it's going to be, and I don't know who said it in the super chats, which I'll finish getting before I get to the outros. There's a big difference. If it would have been paid for paid, I don't know where it would go. Microsoft Halo Infinite might kind of suffer a bit, but Halo is going to be free to play for the first time in the franchise's history. That is huge when you're going up against paid to play games. Now, I'm not saying that I'm buying Battlefield, and I'm a single player guy. Like I'm such a Battlefield fan that I'm going to buy the game. But the reality is that it doesn't have a single player campaign. It has a story within the multiplayer, but it's not the same. It's honestly not the same. I think because of Master Chief being who he is, because of the 20-year history of that franchise, I actually think that it could give, and I believe it's going to give Battlefield 2042 a run for its money. I honestly believe that people are going
I think there'll be no fighting it. Yes,
go crazy.
Yes,
tell us why.
Battlefield is great. Battlefield will continue to be great, and there's an audience
not Halo.
for it. But it's not Halo.
Yeah.
Halo is that last bastion. Back in the day when hero shooters didn't exist, there was a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then there was multiplayer. And you knew who you were with the Master Chief. Once you were done with your campaign, you went into multiplayer. Everyone knew it. Now we live in a world where they create heroes. This is a different world, right? To me, it's like watching a movie with an old movie star. They don't make them like they used to anymore. So we shall see, right? We shall see where this all goes when it's all said and done, right? If it's hitting on all cylinders, if 343 is able to thread that needle, which many people have complained about them, whether it be multiplayer or single player, depending, right? If they're able to, let's just say, best work they've done, right? Best work they've done. On paper, I don't think there's even a question, and it's free to play. There's no question, question that
the free to play.
I'm not saying, that's right. I'm not saying that Battlefield is gonna just be lost. There'll be a contingent there, and it'll continue to be there. But boy, Halo is gonna have its moment in the sun. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah,
it'll be fine. It just has to work. That's the thing they got to worry about. They already cut
it's
content.
It's got to be the quality, baby. That's right.
Yeah. They already cut content with the co-op and everything. So if they can deliver on the quality front and it actually is worth the play, there's no issues.
And by the way, we'll know soon, right? Aren't they having another Halo?
Another flight?
Is it this weekend?
It's
next weekend. Next weekend.
24th, 25th, and 26th.
Is this one open as well,
it's open to anybody. Open to anybody who wants to sign up. Yeah, so it's going to be anybody can try on PC and everything too. So.
Yeah, look, I'll put it this way. I should have had the footage running in the background. I quite, and Kayasanta, we got a chance to play together. I quite enjoyed, really enjoyed my time in the first flighting. I thought it was polished. There were very few issues. When they ranked up the difficulty, you got your ass handed to you by the Spartans. It was fantastic. This I'm expecting to be even better. I think that the free-to-play conversation versus the paid $70+ version of Battlefield 2042, even though I think that game is going to be good. The previews looked great. It looks like it's going to be, like I said, it reminded me of a G.I. Joe game because of the Weather Dominator. It just gave me that feeling. I think that because the Master Chief is who he is, and you add, because IP is God, right? We've heard that numerous times, and I would agree with that. The Master Chief, yes, maybe he didn't have a great showing, at not this E3, but the E3 before. Maybe Halo 5 didn't hit for a lot of people like it did for me, but that does not take away from the status quo that is the Master Chief. I think we're going to get something special. I think we're going to, and that's the other thing.
So would you say? Oh, I'm sorry.
Continue, guys.
No, I was going to say. So would you say the biggest concern would be the single player then at this point?
I would say it's people like myself who walked away from Halo 5 extremely disappointed. Not for the graphics, not for the control. The story wasn't good. This is where I think I'm going to be pleasantly surprised. It is a new type of Halo Infinite. We're getting a Halo where we can go and look into the world, kind of like they did with Gears 5, which I was a big fan of. Noof, where do you feel, Noof, on the paid versus free to play? Does Xbox and more specifically Halo have a shot to really put its claws into Battlefield, which is a very popular multiplayer game?
Well, if Battlefield's getting the delay, I mean, it's all good. I mean, if they're going to improve the game and make it better at the end of the day, I mean, of course, anytime a release comes out in a specific window very close to another IP, it really just depends on the fan bases. Like, personally, I don't think it's really going to affect Halo all that much. I think the people that love Halo are waiting for Halo, and as soon as Halo drops, they're going to flock over to that immediately, whether it's to jump on the campaign or get into the multiplayer. Of course, the free-to-play Halo multiplayer is definitely a huge boost for those who definitely perhaps haven't jumped on the Game Pass train yet, so to speak, so they'll be able to get into it and play it, which could be in potentially millions of users. And then, of course, the microtransactions and things that follow within suit, whether it's just cosmetic or whatever. So I think that's kind of a huge boost for Xbox and this particular game. So, and that in itself could help drive some Game Pass sales. Battlefield will do well on its own accord. Again, they have a very specific fan base. A lot of people play both games, but at the end of the day, you're going to play a few, and some you'll play for a little bit and then gravitate over to whatever else. It's like a lot of people, they'll play Battlefield and then come back to, sometimes they'll come back to Call of Duty, or they go back to another shooter. So it's all about longevity and what you stick with. So I'm not worried about Halo at all, because I think they're going to do just fine. And the free-to-play model is it's a pretty good gesture on their part. It expands their reach and their audience. And let's just hope that Halo is good. So far, from what I've heard, it sounds like it's going to be awesome. Battlefield's shaping up to be pretty good. Me personally, I couldn't care less, because I am not buying Battlefield at all, period. I swear by that. I never bought the Call of Duty games I said to people I won't buy. Still haven't to this day. And I refuse to buy the next Battlefield.
And that's because it doesn't have a single player, correct?
That is absolutely right. I know people always come back with the first side. Well, Battlefield was always a multiplayer game first. That doesn't make it right to exclude a huge portion of fans that appreciate campaigns. I think that's a terrible move, and I think it was done purposely.
I'm with you, 100%. Yep.
It's not because it was we ran out of time. No, these decisions were made on the cutting room floor the moment that game went to the boardroom. Do we include it or do we not? And they probably said, you know what, let's just focus on multiplayer. We're going on to a new console. We want to make this bigger and better. You know what? That's where our bread and butter is. So screw the rest of you. I don't like that kind of attitude. Once you include something, you don't take away from games, you add to them, not take away. That's horse crap. No, that's horse crap. You don't start taking away modes, and bring them back later on so you can charge people for them. Come on, man. EA, well, never mind. EA and Activision, they're both scumbags half the time anyway.
Indeed, they are. Yeah. Well said. Said, New, for sure. I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm with you. I would have normally not bought it because it's only multiplayer. But one of my favorite franchises from last gen, which we're going to probably potentially be talking about on Primetime Gaming, is that in that big GeForce leak, Titanfall 3 was name dropped, which means that game could potentially be coming. I'm definitely all in on a Titanfall, but I played Titanfall 1, which was multiplayer only, and it was, my God, so much fun. So I'm hoping I get the same experience out of Call of Duty, out of Battlefield. We, again, only time will tell. Listen, does anybody want to add anything regarding Battlefield versus Halo? Who wins that match?
Okay.
Crispy, you want to jump in?
Oh, good.
Oh, no, again, you big house, jump in.
I was going to say, I mean, it's free to play versus a $60, $70 game. I mean, personally, it's just going to come down to just the fan base, how well it has on the impact. That's all it is. The fan base is going to determine that.
Yeah. I mean, it is Halo. Crispy, where do you feel? What is your hot take on a paid for versus free to play?
You took away part of your game. You're paying money for it. And Halo, regardless of not having a couple features, which I think was done somewhat on purpose, because at the end of the day, you're going free to play. It's going to be in Game Pass. This game is going to be downloaded and tried to play by millions.
Yes.
And within, there's gonna be people up at midnight. There's gonna be people.
Yep,
they actually said you could switch to New Zealand. We don't care anymore. So you could go and switch to New Zealand. I did it with Gears 5, people.
So did I.
They don't care anymore.
I've done that before.
That. So you could really do that, because now they feel like, hey, if people actually do that, it kind of spreads it out. So, we kind of see a gradualness. That's the way I think they're looking at it. But I mean, Battlefield at the end of the day is going to sell. I mean, it, because it's not available like Halo, but that does not mean that Halo is going to get hurt by it in any way.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I definitely think everyone's onto something. Dreadpool, you want to add your 2 cents before we get on out of here?
Yeah, I think Halo, what is it? I think Xbox's Super Soldier is going to dominate everything. Is what it is. Yeah, and it's just you got to remember, it's free to play. What happens with all these free to play games, right? Candy Crush, Fortnite. I mean, it's going to have that. Yeah, so
money.
It's going to have that instant jump in, right? There's no pay barrier. So when you look at that, you're automatically going to have that. So it's name recognition alone, Halo. People having issues between Call of Duty and Battlefront. So there's always going to be that back and forth between that. They're going to go there, try the one, and bounce and try the other. So they're not going to have constant people. I mean, people have their favorite between Call of Duty and Battlefront, but at the same time, like I said, they go back and forth. Some of them will stay true to their one and only and never touch Halo because it's not realistic enough for them.
Yeah.
But if you played it in the gameplay in the alpha that we played, whoo, that was good. I don't care if it's realistic or not.
That's right, Dreadpool. You were with us as well with Mr. Badbit, and damn, did we have a good freaking time.
And we rocked them too. And they were at first they were getting us, and then once we kind of got into that groove, we're rocking them.
Yeah, we were doing really well. We were a good squad for sure. So we definitely got to revisit that once the game hits live. Listen, folks, what an amazing way to start your weekend. Hopefully, you enjoyed yourself. We had over 400 people here, which is freaking amazing. Let me catch up on the last couple of super chats. This has been an incredible show for super chats. Thank you so much for the outstanding generosity. Brett Bingham drops an outstanding, not one, but 2 super chats. The first one is for $10. It says, what if Microsoft acquires WB Games and Rocksteady could make an Ant-Man or Batman game, and Arcane could do a Doctor Strange game? I want the old Midway game IPs from WB Games, NBA Ballers, Area 51, etc. Yeah, dude, if they get that, they're going to be bringing a lot of IP with them. And
I will say to add on to that, especially with because we know what's coming in 2024 or 25 with Wolverine.
Yep,
Microsoft definitely needs a counter to something like that.
I 100% agree with you. I've been banging this drum for days. I have a lot of people pushbacking on me, said they don't need it. I think, again, opinions, folks.
I mean, it's
I'm not saying you're wrong. I said that you're entitled to your opinion.
But
I
having
say
an equivalent, having an equivalent would definitely help a situation.
Yeah,
Them
it's
having a
what-
Batman game or something of that equivalent would have
Something,
been
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, they listen. There are 3 genres, folks, that are missing from the Game Pass plethora of games: a kids platformer, which is Banjo, or Conquer. Take your pick.
Conquer.
Right,
Conquer would be great, yeah.
the fighter.
Yeah.
They have an incredible ESO fighter in the form of Killer
Killer
Instinct.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
They don't have a person to make that. Well, guess what? When you buy a studio that the head of the studio said that he would drop everything to make a versus game, you give him the keys to the castle and say, go freaking crazy. We'll see you in 3-4 years, right? And of course, a hero. They're missing a hero, and I think that this kind of a purchase would really. Someone said it in the chat, and my God, I'm so sorry I didn't get your name. They said it would clear up 80% of Microsoft's problem, and I think you're 1,000% right.
Yeah.
We
look
have
at picture Sony got it. I mean, got your picture. Sony got something of that nature,
dude. 100%.
That's wild. Like Sony already got Spider-Man. That's already a household.
They already got Wolverine,
and they got Wolverine.
Any Marvel character that they want, to be honest.
Yeah,
And
the last thing you want this to do is extend to DC and then we get a Batman or you know what I mean. You don't want that. You want something on the opposite side. You need that.
Dude, 100%. I mean, I mean, again, it's safe to assume that at some point they're going to announce that Insomniac is going to be building their own MCU, right?
Or,
it's going to.
What if they go the MLB route and go to Marvel and pull the that card?
I don't know if they would do that, dude, because the thing with Marvel and Disney and Sony, it there's a lot of interworking stuff, and it has a lot to do with Spider-Man being in the MCU proper, the film aspect.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of these conversations with exclusive characters or what they're able to grab is because of that.
Yeah, that's Sony's biggest leverage.
Yeah, I'm not saying
MCU.
I'm not saying for Spider-Man. I'm saying for Wolverine.
Yeah,
I mean, it's possible, but again, I'm not sure if they'll go through with it. Personally, it's just like you might as well just make your own. Just go with DC. That's just it.
Well, yeah.
Because Sony, the way Insomniac's being built at this point, Insomniac's about to get more likely extended and is going to be looked at as
they have 400. They have 400 people. Is that 400 people at the studio? Is that what the number
They're about to get it. I'm thinking they're going to extend them, build them in another area as well. Yeah.
They may add another 200 developers.
Yeah,
to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, the way they're going with this. I'm not saying Marvel's working with them and the money they're bringing in with just Spider-Man alone. Wolverine's going to bring in a bunch, especially with a mature rating.
Yes,
100%. You know, there's more characters they will love to push from Marvel.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they would abandon DC as an option. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, you know what the next the next OMG moment is when they announce a Deadpool game.
Oh yeah.
And that would be hype. That would be a drop mic moment for Microsoft. They got 100%. Deadpool. Absolutely. I would go crazy for that.
Yeah, we will see. But JD Gamer drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, with all of WB, they saw their superhero problem, fighting single player and more, and they can counter Sony in the ability to cross all media beyond just games, i.e. more than just Game Pass. Indeed, 100% there, JD. Brett Bingham drops an additional $5 super chat and says Microsoft should finance an acquisition of Disney. That would never happen. But sorry, Sony, you get Spider-Man, and that's all you get. That's funny. That's funny. Keo Walker drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "What if it's not just one, but multiple, like Focus Home Entertainment, and like Kay Asante said, Embrace Group? Yeah, something big has happened. We're not going to know." For the next couple of days. I believe Monday is the rumor. Take it with a grain of salt. Rumor where this is supposed to be announced in a press release. We shall see. Drawn TJ. Wow, dude. You drops an additional $10 which says they should buy Embrace Group and WB. Also, go to get it from Midnight Club IP, which is dope. I would love a new Midnight Club. Save it from Rockstar. They need to go drop the bag of money at Ubisoft and have to get Splinter Cell IP. Dude, I'm right there with you. JC Claramore drops in a $2 super chat. Thank you for the generosity there, JC. He says, would that negate the Discovery merger for Warner? I don't think it was. It would be, because those IPs, those specific studios were not part of that Discovery deal. These were left on the outside. We know that for a fact because I actually saw documentation, and these studios are not a part of that acquisition. Don Otaku drops an additional five. Oh, no, we have Raiden Blade drops a £5 super chat and says Disney bought Fox for $71.4 billion. Buying all of WB would be $80 billion. Yeah, well, they have $200 billion to spend before the end of the year, so that would be insane. Plus, Microsoft, if they wanted to get into film, could use the studio aspect of WB to bring a lot of their Xbox IPs to film. That would be something to consider. That's another 2-hour podcast on its own. Dan Otaku drops a $5 super chat and says, "Why stop with one acquisition? Microsoft has a lot of money sitting in the bank. Maybe we could get an E3 2019 situation with multiple purchases." Yeah, I agree. K Sunday had to bounce. No problem about that. I'll talk to him after. Brett Bickham drops an additional $10 super chat and says, Bandai Namco makes the most on paper sense as a Japanese publisher. Gundam, one of the most viral brands in Japan. Plus, Microsoft could market their IP with Bandai's toy in Japan. That's absolutely true as well. We also have Raiden Blade drops an additional £2 super chat and says, "Remember, China is putting a limit on hours played." Yeah, indeed they are. And we also, we got to get, Noof, we got to get you out of here, brother. You got to get to work. Please, by all means, sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you. Strike up a conversation on social media. But more importantly, check out your 2 incredible weekly shows, both on Tuesday evening and Sunday mornings.
All right. Well, I'll let this next gentleman do the outro for me since we are running short on time and I've got to get to work. So have at her. Yes, that's great. They wanted to come in here. Yes, I've always flown in here on the chopper, and it's always an honor and a pleasure to be a part of the podcast in one way or form. Boomstick, you're doing a great job here. You had an ensemble cast here today and some great articulated points about what we think is going to happen in state of the game industry. And then you know what? All you need to do is go out there and buy. You should be supporting me because you're going to want to come out, and I should be in my own video game. So Microsoft, call me. Because, I can do Conan, I can do the Terminator, I can do Matrix from Commando. He needs to come back in another sequel. Yes, old as shit, but that's okay. I will make sure, it's going to be a great game. So you got an amazing chat here. Noof Nukem, you can find him almost anywhere. Of course, he's always in the gutter. Tuesday nights, Gaming After Dark. That's normally where I show up to give my 2 cents on those morons over there. And, yes, Gaming After Dark Tuesday nights, and then of course on Sunday morning you find him again with another cast of crazy characters. With Good Morning Xbox is a great show, but this is awesome. Thank you for having me, Noof Nukem. Yes, we're gonna get to the drama. Go do it. Let's go.
Thank you for being here, Noof, and of course, thank you, Arnold, for joining us as always. Crispy Bomb, let's get you on out of here, brother. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media and what other programs are you on besides Breakfast with Boom on Friday mornings?
Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Shout out to the chat. It was fired up today, and Speculation Town was definitely hit. So, we'll see what happens. See if it's Monday. See if it's in a couple months. God only knows. But at Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. You can find me on Retro Renegades Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. The next podcast, 8 p.m. Thursdays, and of course back here in Breakfast with Boom Friday, 10 a.m.
Yes, well, thank you for being here. Dreadpool, brother, let's get you on out of here. Please tell everyone where they can check out you on social media, strike up a conversation, but more importantly, learn a little bit more about breaking bread with Dread.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter. It's been a great time. Thank you to the chat for showing up. You guys have been wonderful. Find me on Twitter at Dreadpool. The O's are actually zeros. Everywhere else, you just look up linktrees.com/Dreadpool, all letters, all caps, and it'll have all the links. You'll find me Wednesday nights at Game Beyond the Box, Friday mornings right here, and I'm still lining up those bands. I can't get a hold. One of them's not freaking answering me.
How dare they not answer you?
I
sir?
know. I'm like they're blatantly ignoring me. I just watched a live concert that they put out, like a little, studio concert, whatever, on Twitter or what is it, Twitch, and still didn't answer me. And I'm like, you guys suck. They're a good band though. That's the worst part. But yeah, you just check. was it Breaking Bread with Dread is on anchor.fm/dreadpool. Like I said, Linktree has everything. So go check it out there.
Yes, absolutely, bro. And all of everyone's the guests and of course panel members, all of their information super easy. Go to the information part of the actual show on YouTube, and all you gotta do is get there with one click, and you're done. BitCloud Gaming, brother. I know you joined us late. Thank you so much for being here. Regardless, please, brother, tell everyone where they can continue having you march well past the 10K mark on YouTube and what you got going on this afternoon.
Yeah, sorry about being late. I literally had to do some stuff came up unexpectedly. My damn niece lost her toenail. So yeah. That's what happened there. She's all right. She's downstairs. She's fine. Thank God. But yeah, I had to jump in though, even though I gets whatever time I could. But it was a good show. I'm glad everybody had fun. Shout out to everybody on the panel. Boom, as always.
Thank you, sir.
RGT's not happening today, so we're taking a day off, but we'll be back next week for sure. I do appreciate it. You guys find me at BitCloud Gaming, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and yeah, see you next week. Hopefully, I have a big guest lined up for next week.
Yes, we're looking forward because you've been knocking it out of the park with your guests, and obviously the last one was huge, especially if you are a Resident Evil fan, indeed. But listen, folks, thank you so much for being here. Again, if you're new, please consider subscribing to the channel. We are under 140 away from 9,000 subscribers. We're close, man. We're really, really close. And of course, the goal for any YouTuber is to get certain numbers, you know, your first 100, your first 1,000, and then 10K. And obviously we said BitCloud did that a couple of weeks ago live on the air, thanks to your incredibleness in this chat. It's just incredible help my friend get past there. I would love
to 10K.
Yeah, I would love to be a part of that conversation. And if you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing. And of course, thank you for the incredible super chats. Real quick, we still have 300 people here. Next week, I am giving away, and I say well, I should meant to say we, Mrs. BoomStick and I, who does everything with me, we are giving $350 worth of prizes, and all you gotta do is show up to the show. That's it. It's going to be Boom's birthday bash, the 4th annual. My birthday is Saturday. I turned 51, but I don't want the prizes. I want to give the prizes away, and we're giving $350 worth of them. And one of the big prizes I announced yesterday, and I'll reiterate it for a hot second. You're getting one winner is going to get a copy of Flight Sim with an actual flight stick, a brand new flight stick that me and Mrs. BoomStick purchased. It's about $70, but you know, if you try to get it online, it's double that right now because you can't find them. And that's one of the prizes, and we're going to pay for shipping and handling. You just got to send us your address, and we will get it out to you ASAP. Plus a bunch of digital goods in the form of gift cards for your favorite platform. We will not just make it for Xbox. Wherever you want that gift card to go, we will oblige, whether it be PSN, Nintendo, or Xbox, and we will send that code to you immediately. But again, folks, all you got to do is show up and help us celebrate the day. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that is super important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you, and that's something that my father taught us. And I think now more than ever, it's super relevant, but more importantly, it's important to the conversation, and that is treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.